All right, great. Well, welcome everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the Psychology of the Electrification Sale, Part 1. So this is a two-part series, so be sure to register for Part 2 happening next week if you haven't already. It's a pleasure to be here with Larry Waters and Alex Sloan from Electrify My Home. Next slide. Yes, yes. So back one, Larry.
That looks like slide two.
Oh,
There.
oh, there it is. There it is.
All right.
Okay. So Tri-County Regional Energy Network. So for anyone who is not familiar with us, it is a collaboration between the Tri-County, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, and Ventura. And our programs reduce energy use for a more sustainable, equitable, and economically vibrant Central Coast. And the reason why we are able to offer a free webinar like this to you all today is because of all of us, the ratepayers, into the California Public Utilities Commission, and we are bringing those ratepayer dollars back to our region for these opportunities like what we are experiencing right now. So next slide. I think we all know about Zoom, so that's taken care of. Just a high level overview of our services. We offer incentives through our home energy savings, single family and multifamily programs, as well as our commercial energy savings. So this is where we're actually providing dollars to make some of these upgrades that we're going to be talking about today happen. We have our building performance training and Energy Code Connect, which are our workforce development programs. What we're here today, we have webinars, in-person trainings, boot camps, as well as a code coach service for building professionals dealing with our California energy codes. And then finally, we offer technical assistance in the form of audits for our farmers and as well as critical community services through energy assurance services. Next slide. And just to take a moment and reflect on the accomplishments we've had as 3C Ren, we've had over 4,000 attendees, like all of you, attend trainings like this. We've helped complete over 1,300 energy saving projects. We've answered over 300 of your questions about Title 24 and Cal Green, and we have secured $155 million for our Tri-County region through 2028. And we're already in the process of securing monies for the next 5-10 years. So we are here to stay to do this work. And it's a pleasure to do it with partners like Electrify My Home. So with that, I'll pass it over to Larry.
Man, it is a pleasure doing it with partners like you, Juliana. You're always so upbeat, and it's just always a pleasure to talk to you. I just want to tell you that. Okay. So welcome everybody to Electrify My Home's Psychology of the Electrification Sale. This is going to be a great packed up presentation that's going to help get us across the line of getting more heat pumps installed out there. It's going to be a good addition to anybody that's ever been to any other sales training, and it helps. We're sharing with you kind of our secrets for being able to talk about heat pumps to everybody. So, without further ado, our mission statement. Our company's got bigger goals and shorter mission statements. So I took a bunch of words out that didn't matter to make it nice and easy. Our mission is to provide the most efficient, cost-effective solutions, practice responsible electrical management, and train and influence others to do the same. A couple changes there. It did used to say other contractors do the same, but we're training a whole bunch of people now. So thank you for joining the call. It's truly our mission to do this. It's right in our mission statement. We want to do this because we want electrification in California to be a net positive after the whole thing's done and not like a problem. So, all right. So what's the agenda for today? And then part two webinar next week is going to be kind of connecting the dots. So today we're going to be laying the foundation. And what we know is you can't build a 3-story house on a 1-story house foundation. We can't do it. You can't build houses on rocks anymore, right? We have to build a good foundation in order to get good results, so the whole thing doesn't topple over on us. So we're going to get into the welcome part, and I'm going to ask you to do something that's maybe a big deal for some of us. Like we're going to do a mindset reset. And we're going to try to do that in a way that is easy to understand. We're going to go through personality basics and disc profiles. So hopefully you were able to take the disc profile either before or just during this event. And maybe you guys have done disc profiling before, but I will ask you, like in the chat, just put what's your primary personality type, just for fun. I'd like to see how many I's and D's we got on the group. And then we're going to talk about the intake process at the company, bringing this in, helping to address some of those issues. Now, I know every company is not the same as far as being able to get things done in a company right over time. One of the reasons I stopped working at the company I was at for 14 years and opened this business was because I couldn't get the owner to agree to have the call takers ask 2 extra questions. It was like that much, right? So we're going to give you some insight on that, a little bit of how you can do some customer research on your customers before you come out and help seal the deal and be able to communicate with them, hopefully find out who they are before you come out. A little bit about consultative selling skills, and then we'll wrap up today's training. And then next week we'll bring you, really important, if you could do this one, come back next week, where that's when everything kind of fits together. So comprehensive assessments, from the intel to the plan, setting expectations, handling objections, final close, and then we'll wrap that one up. All right. So what is the biggest barrier? Let's, if you don't mind, we got a little psych poll popping up in here. I like that psych poll. So we're not trying to get we're not trying to do any therapy on anybody, but we do want to, we want to know what's the hardest part of selling electrification today for you. And and we can help tailor the conversation a little bit. But we're trying to get a bigger understanding, because we know very well the people that we've had in our classes, because we ask these questions, and ourselves as a company, what the barriers are. And our goal is to help our customers, who are all of you watching these webinars, be able to get past these goals. So the more we know, the more we can show. All right.
And I apologize for that. I didn't realize that that was going to be viewable, but and I also made it so that you can select more than one. So if you hear a couple or a few, just select everything you can hear.
Um, I'm doing the poll too, just for fun. Okay. Okay, so what's the biggest barrier to selling more electrification products? And Juliana, you can just let me know when some poll answers have come in, and then we'll actually address that. So, and that's okay, John. We're going to get some good information here on how you can communicate these projects to people you are. So, what is the mindset reset? 71% is cost and installation complexity. That might have been my answer. Electric grid, lack of customer familiarity. Exactly right. I had a lot of people come in and say, my customer called, they wanted a new furnace, so I just sold them a new furnace. And that might lead into lack of salesperson confidence, permitting, and compliance. But cost is the major one. Okay, we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the second round next week. So, but thank you for answering that poll. That's super, super helpful. Okay, so intro. Your mindset is your megaphone. We're gonna get a little bit experiential here and kind of get into the ether of this sort of thing. But um, we are what we do and say. And we like to say around here, you think what you say what you do, and what you do is your legacy. So by thinking positively about these things, and not going into the call going, these people are never going to want to spend this much money, or these people are never going to want to hear about this electrification. We are limiting ourselves psychologically before we ever go in. We just need to go in with an open mind. And so the way to get there is, we need you to just take a moment and dump your cup, right? Take all those negative things that we have to think about electrification, whether it be My customers think heat pumps suck. They love their gas. All these things we talk about in our long class. We just want to take all those things you have in that cup, that moldy coffee cup with the stains on the sides, and we just want to dump that cup out. Get a sponge and clean that thing out so you got a nice clean cup, and let us fill your cup with some different information, and then try to respond on that. So we're going to help you fill your new clean cup up with some new information, and really get rid of that mold that's sitting on top of that cup. It's funny. I had a cup that looked something like that in my office not that long ago. Okay, but it wasn't up here. It was on my desk. Okay. The opportunity is huge. Electrification market opportunity is approaching $1 trillion. And if anybody can say there's $1 trillion that the government is not going to give us, that we are going to take to make things differently and build our businesses, we should be getting very excited about this, right? This is $1 trillion worth of money moving back and forth. We need to install 6 million heat pumps in California by 2030. Now we've already done a couple million since they released this, right? We got a couple million in the middle, and maybe a little bit less than that are going to get done through utility programs, et cetera. And then we got, at least 2 million that need to be installed by contractors like you, or whatever you do, like contractors that are going to change the financial situation of a lot of contractors. So this is a great opportunity to get out there. If you're slow and you're depending on weather to drive your business, being an electrification contractor, because it's project based, a lot of it is a great way to fortify that. We go into that a little bit more in our boot camp class. Um, Zero emissions appliances are required in California through the California Air Resources Board for furnaces and water heaters, zero emission by 2030. That means there's an end date on this stuff. That's a good conversation point for that person that still wants a furnace or still wants a gas water heater, to break that conversation and get into that conversation with the customer. 90% of the houses in the state still rely on gas for at least space or water heating. And then there's 3.5 million houses out there, almost 3.5 million houses out there with no air conditioning. Now, you guys are in one of the most beautiful spots in California, the Tri-County area. We don't always need air conditioning. Just a couple times you do. And what do we hear as contractors when we talk to customers about air conditioning that live in those areas is, and there's only a week, a year that I really you could use it. But I've had enough customers tell me after we've converted that we don't just need it, that you need that for survival during that time. When you figure out that your house can get really comfortable and you can be really comfortable, people will use it for a lot longer than that week they would love to have it to survive. So, and on the flip side of that, if we put 3.4 million heat pumps in and houses that aren't air conditioned, and we do it in a way that's not efficient, that's going to cause a negative net loss on our grid. So we need to make sure that we're doing this stuff as efficiently as possible when we convert all these new customers over that will run their air conditioners even if they say they won't. Okay. So I was actually in a house yesterday, and the customer was going to go for this heat only share water system, really elaborate, very expensive system. And we started walking around their house, and we walk upstairs, and I said, "You tell me it's always comfortable up here?" And she said, "No, it gets really hot up here." And I said, "You just mentioned that you didn't want to go with air conditioning." "Oh, we don't really need air conditioning." You're telling me it gets really hot up here. Is that the way you want to live? Right? You're going to do all this work on your house. So people are ready for it if we frame the conversation right. So, more about this once in a career opportunity. There's never been a position as in a contractor to customer relationship that is going to exchange more money than this electric gas conversion. So if we take the opportunity and we put ourselves in a position to optimize or to I don't want to say take advantage because that sounds like a bad term, but if we want to build our business around it, there's a massive upside, right? One of them is it's not seasonal. Okay, so the technology's ready. If they were switching us from gas to electric 10 years ago, it would be a giant failure, especially with electric rates. because the technology just wasn't there and the knowledge wasn't there, but it's there at the ripe and the taking for you. There's no shortage of training and education and equipment technology and brands that are coming to the market with this stuff. So the technology is ready and it's getting better and better and better all the time. So we have the perfect climate for heat pumps. If you're wondering if you need a backup strip heating system on a heat pump in California, talk to all the people that bought heat pumps in Maine, right? Maine has one of the largest upticks of heat pump conversion in the country. And I don't know if you know, but that's way up there in the north corner where it gets real cold. So there's no problem in the Santa Barbara coast area when we don't need any backup heat. We just need to do it right. And then solar and storage in California is super abundant. One of the reasons why the rate plans changed, right? Because there's just so much of it. And people want to seek energy independence more now than ever because rates are climbing up, right? They want to have a buffer between those, which is an alternate argument because people will say, oh, the electric rates are pretty high. I don't know if I want to do electric, and then they've got a massive amount of solar on the roof and a couple of batteries in the backyard. So we need to understand that we can help people seek energy independence even if they don't already have solar. But if they put a bunch of gas appliances back in, there's no way they're going to cancel out gas appliance use with solar panels. So the idea that they have the ability to go net zero or go close to net zero at the end is a good enough reason to convince some customers. Okay. So there's lots of older HVAC companies out there that are retiring. And by the way, at the end of this, I'm going to show you a slide that has my contact information. If you know any, send me the lead, please. Lots of opportunity to become a true electrification specialist still. I've been doing this. I started this business, Electrify My Home, 5 years ago. And I thought at the time, like, everybody's going to be doing this in a year or two. And still, 5 years later, there's a lot of people that are pushing back on it. And so it still gives us a lot of opportunity to enter the space before a lot of other contractors out there. I'd like to say in the classes we do when I've got 17 or 18 contractors in there, like all the contractors from this area are not in this class. Everybody that's in this class and learning more and putting their best foot forward to learn more and be ahead of the curve has the opportunity to be that specialist and that electrification expert. So local governments are encouraging incentivizing with early system replacements, which is kind of cool. Like, we don't care if your system's 5 years old. It's gas. It's got to go, right? It's a good opportunity to replace. We have customers all the time that pull out 5, 6 year old furnaces, 5, 6 year old tankless water heaters, and switch over to electric because they want to get ahead of the curve. Um, More work equals, if you're a contractor, this is something you probably get excited about. More money would be good, right? More money for the new trucks you need, more money to give your guys some bonuses that work hard real out there, more money to generate work through advertising, more money to do everything. So if you got more work, it equals more money. And then more work done well just means you can feel good about it, right? You can feel real good about it. I don't know about y'all in this group, but when I learn something new, if I don't apply it, I feel like I'm missing out. Like I'm gonna look back later and go, I should have done that then because I'm old enough in my life to have experienced those things where you hear something and you don't act on it, and then everything gets ahead of you. So I don't let those things happen anymore, and so um, I feel like I'm rewarded when I learn something new. I instantly apply it. Okay. Get your team on board. This is a little taste of what we do. We have some of the pictures of some of the trainings, and you can see I was looking at this picture last night. I got a COVID era training here and a COVID era training here. We can see like these were masked up trainings. So even when we were having to stand 6 feet apart, we were still getting together to take a group picture. But this might have been a little bit after that, but um, we've been doing this for a long time. We've honed the messaging that we have in our trainings and our approach based on our experience at our lab, which is this company. So we bring this to you to help you overcome the obstacles and things like that. But in order to make this work at your company, no matter what your role is, you have to get your team on board. So we have offerings out there in the world as well, where you can bring a whole team to a class, or we can even come to your class if you come to the class and you're interested in things like that. So look for that. And we're not the only people talking about this. We're just the only people talking about it this way. Okay. So get your team on board. These are my favorite benefits of perfectly designed electrification upgrades, heat pumps, heat pump water heating systems, and all the cool electric stuff we do. But a heat pump over a furnace, if it's done correctly, will always provide better comfort. If it's sized correctly, it will always be quieter. It will always be more environmentally friendly because there's no spot carbon at the site. And if I take gas out of your house and get rid of gas appliances that need a safety inspection, am I not making your house safer? Yes. And when I put in a right size heat pump that keeps your house perfectly conditioned by running at lower speeds over longer cycles, and I manage all the air I'm pulling through that system for those longer cycles is being managed through good air quality equipment, filtration for us, it leads to dramatically better indoor air quality. So these are my favorite things. What's missing from this list? One of the things I don't talk about as a big picture item is cost savings. We live in an area where the power is the most expensive in the country, which is why when we do heat pumps and convert from gas to electric, we need to talk about how customers use things. And yes, John, very good. They are more efficient when they're installed properly. But does more efficient, John, I'll have you put back up the thing, does more efficient always equal less cost of operation?
No, because the electricity rates are higher than the gas rates.
And potentially, and we can overcome that to a point, but you're exactly right, because there's a lot of people out there that cruise on the furnace for an hour in the morning and they put a sweatshirt on and walk around the house all day. Can't do that with a heat pump, right? So it's a bigger, more round and robust conversation with the customer. So we do talk about efficiency with every customer as we're presenting these systems, and we talk about how the coefficient of performance or the uniform energy factor works against gas and electric. But when customers say, how much money will I save? I would say, I don't have enough data to present you with that, because I don't know exactly how you use your existing system. And we have a lot of people in our mild climates that just turn it off all night, let the house get down to 50 and take the chill off the next morning. So my message to them is, are you willing to sacrifice a bit of cost for way better comfort in your life? And most of our customers are like, I'm ready to be comfortable, right? So that's something we don't talk about as one of the 5 benefits, because these 5 benefits will meet all 4 personality types. Okay. So you know what? We got to go in trusting what we sell and trusting how we talk. And so if we're not a believer in what we're installing, it comes out in the conversation with the customer. The Also, if we don't have a lot of work, sometimes it can come off as a little bit, with the customer. They know, like, why is that guy pressing so hard or whatever. But we talk about this. If they feel your belief, they'll feel the relief. And so I'm going to give them an incredibly comfortable home to live in, and I'm going to go into the house knowing I can do it. I can do it on any house. And the way I do it is just by designing the thing to fit the house, right? So I know what the outcomes are going to be on every home because I go through the same steps on every project. It doesn't matter if the house is 5,000 square feet or 1,000 square feet. Obviously, if it's 5,000, it's going to be a lot more equipment and money. But I'm going to provide the same level of comfort in any house I work on because we design it. Okay. So customers are going to sense your confidence or your hesitation. Trust is contagious. When you earn a few customers, and you guys in the business already know this, when you earn a few customers, there are certain customers out there that are going to be, they're going to go out and yell off the highest rock of just how great you are. and you're going to get lots of referrals from doing this. My business, we've been in business for just under 5 years, and 40% of our work still comes from direct customer referral. I could still run my business on that if I didn't want to grow it. Belief in solutions makes selling natural, not forced. If you believe in what you're doing and you have a prescribed outcome, and you know every job is going to come out the same way, like your guys are going to do a great job, they're going to be super happy, everything's going to look good, it's going to work good, and they're going to be super comfortable in the house, that belief is going to be natural in your delivery. And we have customers talk about that all the time. Like, I just want to go with you because I feel like you're not only qualified to do this, but you're also an advocate for this movement. And it's true. I believe in the solutions of electrification. And I've done that because I've wrapped my head around all of the objections, and I've sufficiently satisfied those in my mind that those aren't real objections. I just need to converse with the customer and get past that. Trusting what you sell builds credibility, loyalty, and long-term relationships that will refer their friends, and aligns your values with the homeowner's investment. I always look at this as a lot of these systems we sell are the same price as a used luxury car. And a lot of the systems we sell are the same price as a brand new luxury car. So I understand that these customers are making a large investment in us, and they're making it in their home, but they're also transitioning it to us to execute. And we take that very, very seriously. And I think probably all the people in sales and HVAC do that to a certain degree. But when we're guiding people through this new transition, if we're guiding them away from the making the transition now and going forward, are we really doing them any favors? So if I install a heat pump water heater today at $25, and I put in all the infrastructure and I change up all the plumbing and I run the electrical and I get it all in there, that's an initial first cost. In 10 years from now, when they need a new heat pump water heater, it's not going to be 9,000 again. Well, it might because of inflation. But if they waited till then to get the first one installed, everything that goes with it is going to be so much more expensive. And there may not be incentives around it. So, especially with the carb cutoff, is do you want to put this in $2025, or do you want to wait and do it at $35? And you're going to have to do it anyway. You may as well do it now, get the infrastructure installed at today's prices, and not wait till it's way more later, and there potentially won't be incentives on them when they're no longer trying to entice you to buy them. When you have to buy them, why would they incentivize them? So we'll see how that works out. Okay. So you can take our word for it. If well-designed, planned, and executed projects are done correctly, the stuff just works. Typically, and our climate isn't that much different in a lot of the Bay Area where we're at than it is down in the coastal area. You guys get fog. The Bay Area gets fog. You guys kind of have disappointing summers. I think you guys have less of a summer than we do, actually. But we can address all that with the very well tuned and sized systems that are properly installed and properly sized, that are going to give great comfort, performance, and reliability. And because we're in these climate zones, we don't have to over design. We don't have to put in more than we need to. If you're going to a 1,500 square foot house that was built in the 60s or the 70s, and we're going to just automatically put another 3-ton system in there, I'm just telling you, it doesn't need a 3-ton system. It needs the right size system, right? So smart planning avoids oversizing, the opportunity for missed upgrades, and costly mistakes. And I bring this to you because, man, I first started installing heat pumps like on the daily around 2013, 2014. In 2010, I went through BPI training, which is Building Performance Institute. And it's just basically a certification for taking the time to learn how houses work. And so it's building science. So we understand how everything works together in the house. And when we understand how all these things work together, we can optimize the performance of these systems dramatically just by increasing airflow, putting the registers in the right place, using the right registers, insulating over, making sure my building envelope is at least the hemorrhages are fixed and it's insulated as well as it can be. We work in a lot of really old houses, and chasing drafts in an old house can be a problem. But when we do these other measures, I can still lower the capacity. It just has to match what it is, right? I don't need a 90,000 BTU furnace in a 1,600 square foot house. And the reason I'm saying that, that particular thing, I was just looking over a project that we're doing in a town nearby coming up in a few weeks. And guy has a 90,000 BTU, 80% furnace in a 1,600 square foot house. We're going back with a 24,000 BTU heat pump for that house, and some upgrading work. So if we put in the right systems and they operate like they're supposed to, and we don't hobble their capacity by, putting in different type of operating systems and things like that, and we use the system the way it was designed, we can deliver just as many BTUs. We're just going to do it over a longer period of time. I don't need to heat the house up in 10 minutes. I just need to get it warm and keep it warm. Use a little bit of energy doing that. So smart planning avoids oversizing, missed upgrades, and costly mistakes. So let's talk a little bit about the sales process here. Nancy, it's being recorded. We're good. So the must-have sales process that we go by is prepare, open, strategic questioning, connecting the dots, and closing the job. So today we're going to talk about preparation and opening a little bit. Next week, we're going to go into strategic questioning a little bit more. We'll go into that a little bit today, and then connecting the dots, and then overcoming objections. So it's good to have a sales process around this, so you're thinking about these things the same way every time. When I first started doing sales, I don't know, 20 years ago, I was like really winging it. And I just kind of learned along the way. There's this term in sales where you can be a conscious incompetent or an unconscious competent. And the longer you do sales for, and if you apply those things you read and learn, they will become very automatic later. And you'll read a book and go, okay, I do that, I do that, I do that. And you just do it automatically because that's what your role is. When you first start getting into sales, you got to learn those things and apply them so they become muscle memory in your brain, right? So, and then it gets real easy because you just execute and execute. Okay. So what we have found is because the whole electrification thing is kind of a political football because it was made into one, right? So framing our customers' message to where they are and what they think about and figuring them out has been the best way that we have found to get past that whole thing. And some people say, I'm the state is forcing me to get rid of my gas. They're taking away one of my choices. Whatever. And hey, it's cool. I think about that. I think that way about a lot of stuff, but I don't think that way about this because electrifying a house is a natural transition to better technology. And we already did that when we got rid of our flipper and got one of these, right? We transitioned to better technology. Nobody forced us to do it, so everybody did it voluntarily. But since it's in the vernacular of like CARB is telling us to do it, or the pollution, or all these things that people could potentially disagree with, it puts them in a position where they put their hands up and the shields go up, right? And so understanding who your customer is and tailoring the conversation to their particular personality type and views around things can make you ultra successful in getting this message out there. So knowing your customer's personality type is huge. And so real quick in the chat, can you just put who took the disc test and if anybody has ever had a disc profile before that? That'd be great. Okay. That's okay. John, you can scan this. There's a quick, easy 3 or 4 minute thing. You can do it now or do it later because if you do it now, you miss a couple of cool things. But if you take this disc personality profile And it's, I don't know, it's 30 questions. When you get to page 6, don't buy anything. Just scroll to the bottom of the screen and you're going to see a clamshell looking thing that looks like this. And basically by answering those questions of what you agree with most, it helps put us all in awesome. It helps put us all in um, kind of this, our activity zone or our personality zone. And there's nothing wrong with being in any of these personalities. There's everybody kind of breaks up into 4 different personality types. Um, you need all these personality types to make it in the world. So there's not one that's better than the other. There are some that are better than the other at doing certain things, but there's no deficiency in your personality because you come out on one side or the other. Unless you find out that you're a high influencer personality and people like me really annoy you all the time, then you're going to go, "Oh crap, I am one." That would suck. But haven't had that happen yet. But understanding your client's personality starts with knowing your own. So this is a great exercise. So there's 4 different personality types. It breaks up into DISC, and that's drive, influence, support, and clarity. And basically, what we have is driver personalities. You're going to see more driver personalities are people that um, they really want to take charge and get things done. A lot of business owners are driver personalities. A lot of the people that if a business owner is not a driver personality, if he wants the business to work well, he should have at least one on his staff. But they make decisions and they take action. They keep the ball rolling. They keep everything working. The influencer technology, these are the people that you need out there trumpeting for your business, right? They engage others, they share their enthusiasm for what they're doing, they inspire others, and they can persuade others to their opinion pretty easily by getting out there, understanding what they're talking about, and engaging in that conversation. We have the support staff or the support personality, which is really the glue that holds society together, in my opinion. They show care for others. They look for ways to assist and serve. And if you're doing disc profiles on your entire staff, if you've got really good office people that are really good at it, you'll find that some of them are going to be high S personalities. If not, they might be mismatched. This is also a great way to make sure you got people in the right slots. And then we have the clarity personality. This can also be called analyzer, or this is going to be your more engineer type personality. Wants to work within the systems. Very regimented. A lot of clarity people are extremely good computer people. They see work as pleasure, so they get a lot of benefit out of their work. And if you don't stimulate them and give them tasks that are going to accentuate that, they will get bored very easily, shut down, and probably not be around, right? So these are the people that we need to have in our businesses on the technical end, but we also need to understand that there can be a point where there's too much of it, right? And so some people can overanalyze, just like any of these personalities can overdo it. The D type personalities can overdo it and become a bull in a china shop. The I personality can just like annoy everybody because it's like, dude, you keep telling me things, but I want to see the reality. The support staff is just going to sit there and go, whatever you need me to do. And then the clarity people are going to go, I'm not getting enough stimulation out of this. We're not doing anything like accurately. From a customer situation, this is going to be the guy or the person that has the older car and they brag about how many miles it's gone on it, what the mileage is, right? That's definitely clarity. Um, they understand the value of something and they will potentially use it until it has no more value. Um, which is, man, that's something I wish I had more of actually. And the customers are going to be the ones that want more data and detail, the ones that can drive contractors crazy. Or if you know how to deal with them, they can be the ones where you go, cool, I got this because I know nobody else in my sphere knows how to deal with this customer like I do. And it's just for having that ability to pinpoint who they are. Okay. So here's a easy way. If you're a Star Wars fan, um, uh, The big dude in the black suit. Okay, I don't know why his name just left me all of a sudden. But he was the dominant personality of the Star Wars series. He was like the guy in charge. There it is, Darth Vader. What? What came to my mind is Luke, I'm your father. So the dominant, decisive, strong-willed, results-oriented. That guy, he wanted to just take out some planets, and he wasn't going to let anything stand in his way, right? Impatient, demanding. Remember in the movie where he grabbed that dude by the neck and held him up because he wasn't getting it done? So you don't have to be like that. That's the part where you don't want to get too far. But we can use the decisive, strong-willed, and results-oriented. But we also want to we want to recognize this in our customers because it's going to be a different approach for us, right? Then we have the influential. That's Han Solo, man. He was talking himself out of uh, talk himself out just quick enough that he could run back onto the ship and get out of town, right? So charismatic, persuasive, inspirational, and then also like a lot of I personalities are a little bit impulsive. If you talk to I personality peoples, one thing you can ask them, have you ever made a purchase you didn't feel good about? Right? I personality people buy things and think about it later. They buy it because it's cool. Um, they can be overly optimistic at times. They can appear with coworkers to be insincere because we're so optimistic. And we have to if we say things, we have to make them come true so we don't lose credibility. That's a little bit on the employee side. But influential um, customers, if we find these people, influencers, these people are the stuff that want cool stuff. They want the newest stuff. They want it to look really good. They want to be able to show their friends. That's these people. You can tell by the kind of cars they drive and the way their houses look. Steady, Chewbacca. He was the guy who kept it all together, right? He was the guy that kept it all together. Patient, reliable, calm, a huge support system for Han Solo there. Um, a little passive and indecisive, but the glue that held everything together. These customers are going to show up as um, particularly very eco-minded. These are going to be the ones that call and say, I want to get rid of the gas because I want my grandkids to have a better planet to live on before, Darth Vader wants to come in and blow the whole thing up. These are going to be people that are going to be more oriented into having being a support person in the opinion that they are. They're going to live their opinion, and they're going to be very good at understanding what we're going to do to a point, because they might not make a decision as quickly as some of the others. Okay, and then we got the conscientious, 3CPO, definitely the analytical one of this crew. So analytical, cautious, super logical, computer brain, right? But also a bit critical and risk averse. Like, I don't know, R2. I think we need to get out of here, right? So a little bit risk averse, and that goes with the conscientious technology. So, or personality. So if we're talking to somebody and they're asking a lot of questions about efficiencies or operational characteristics, they've done some research or they've talked to a contractor before, and they might not have got all the information they need to make a good decision. So when we design systems for them, we can really drive into the conscientious because we're just doing a load calc. We're going to determine the necessary BTUs for each room and how we're going to deliver exactly that to each room, right? That's going to come way over, like this guy said, I need a 3-ton. So hope that kind of drives that in a little bit, how these personalities work. Okay. We have speed buyers. Dominant personalities and influential personalities are going to buy really fast, but based on different reasons. The dominant personality, just because he doesn't want anything not working in his life, he just wants to get it fixed. And you'll find dominant personalities, what I found as being an HVAC technician and salesperson for, I don't know, going on 45 years now, is the dominant personality. If their air conditioner was broken, they could have had the rats in their ductwork making it a habit trail with rat poop in there. They don't want to hear about any of that. They want to hear about how fast you get the air conditioner turned back on. And I don't know if anybody knows where Blackhawk, California is, but I had multiple customers out in Blackhawk that literally their stuff was 30 years old. It was falling apart. It was really in bad shape. And they just changed the outdoor unit because they could get it done this Saturday. Right. So, um, fast decision maker because they want results. Influential because they want to get it in the house so they can start feeling it. Like, oh man, I love this. I can feel it. Influential people have bought things in their past that didn't come out well. We got to deliver well for these people because the influential ones are the ones that are going to go tell all their friends, and they're going to bring their friends over and show them, like, dude, look at this thing. Your air conditioner is this big, mine is this big, and keeps my house precise. Yours turns on and all. Look at it. You got to get one of these, right? It's going to be that. So slower purchasing on the conscientious and steady side. The steady side is going to take a long time to decide, but if you can build a relationship with that steady person and get them to trust you, they will not go anywhere else. They will potentially they'll pull their friends, but if they trust you enough, they will move forward with you because they built that relationship. So there's a little bit more relationship building with the steady personality. And the conscientious is going to be slow because they got to do a lot of data and research. I tell you one thing, like conscientious people, if you tell them what they're going to buy, or the more analytical of them, the extreme, they're already going to know what the warranty is. They're already going to know what the unit is and how it works because they did the research and they dig into the details. So fast and slow buyers. And then we have people that are task focused, and then we have people that are people focused. These people over here want to know information, and they want to know how quickly you can get it done or how much information they'll give you. People over here want to make relationships. Influential people and steady people want that relationship. And if you build the relationship, you're great. But if you go into a house not understanding who you're talking to, and you come over here and you try to build a relationship with task focused people, you're not going to get as far. They're going to see right through it, and they're going to go, this dude's trying to smooge me over, so I buy from him. I'm going to keep looking until I find somebody that can address what I really want. Okay. Darth Vader must always win. He seeks power. He fears loss of control. You need to provide choices for him, a few of them. Look at this is what we can do to make everything better and get you great energy efficiency and do all that. Make house safe and the air better. That's all you need to say, right? This is what I can do as quickly as possible. Those two choices. Some of them are going to decide either way. Depends on how much like how much of a deep conversation they have with them, whoever they're sharing their life with. A lot of times, so we just need to provide choices. Only a few of them. Influence people like have a desire to be loved and accepted by others. So we go out of the way to build relationships that way. Influential people seek recognition. If you go into an influencer's house, you better recognize what they've done for their house and talk to them about it. Otherwise, they're going to shut off on you, especially if they're living in a typical house and they've done a lot of work to it. You need to recognize that. You should be doing that to a certain degree anyway. They fear loss of prestige to a point. Like we have a we have a large part of us wants to be correct about everything, but we understand we don't know the facts about everything, but we're willing to go out there and talk about it. But we don't want to put our reputations on the line, so we do strive for accuracy, but not as much as the C personality type does. And for these type of personalities, you want to provide acknowledgement. The people focused on the bottom, they always want to cooperate. These are the people that if they're going to kind of shut down and become quiet if there's not cooperation going on in there. There might be a little bit with this personality type of passive aggressive stuff that's going on because they're not gonna put it out there that there's a problem, and later on they might go tell their friends, I didn't really like that experience. I didn't feel fulfilled by that experience. So I don't think I'm gonna check this. I'm gonna cross this dude out and call somebody else. They want to seek approval. So part of the process with a steady personality type is presenting them with something and then presenting them with stories of success and letting them know, like, this is definitely the way you want to go, or the way you've told me that you want to proceed, this is the best solution for that. And other people in the same situation you are have done this and been very successful. Would you like to speak to some of them? And some of these people are going to say, yes, can you get me somebody else to talk to? And other ones can say, no, I trust you. You're fine. I believe in you. It depends on how well you built that relationship there. They fear loss of relationship. They will cut off a relationship to people they don't want it because they won't start the relationship. But once you have a relationship with them, there's a fear of loss. So I've got a number of customers that fit in this kind of envelope, and all of them are like overwhelmingly ready to do whatever we ask them. If they want, we want a customer to call them, or we want to do a video testimonial. Or I had a customer the other day send me an email saying, I need a new yard sign. The one that you left here is faded. And most of the time people take a yard sign and they throw it in the trash right after you're done, or you take it with you after the job's done. And she's like, no, mine is faded. It's been out in the front yard for 2 years, and I need a new one so people can see it better. That she is an S personality type. You need to provide acceptance to these people. Conscientious people, they're going to want to be right because they have the data, right? And Alex on my team is a very conscientious analytical person. He's the reason that he's not the grease in the wheel, but he keeps the gears aligned right with the right ratios to keep everything going on. Um, and he only comes with data. So when he says we should do with this, it's because he's took a lot of time and looked into it, and he will be right. But sometimes that can go over with people in this particular particular personality type, where they will go into analysis paralysis. We had a customer that, I don't know, about a month or two ago, wanted to do a complete remodel in his house. He wanted to put these systems in. He's talked to 6 different contractors, trying to figure out how he's going to do it. And he was just having analysis paralysis. And it's just like, oh, wow, they told me to do this. And he got some really bad advice that he was basing stuff on. And I threw some new stuff at him, and it completely locked his brain. Like, he was going, oh no, now I got to do more research. And he was like, I need to get this done before the end of the year, before I get my incentives. And I'm like, dude, that for a guy like you, that opportunity passed last year. So um, they seek respect because they deliver high level work. They fear loss of face. They don't want to get anything wrong, so they make sure they check everything out. Which can the biggest downside to that is it takes them time to develop a plan or put a sale together, because they got to get in there and look at the details. I might find the next one might have a little better number than this one, right? So you got to provide a lot of information and data and like clear explanation on how things work. Okay. So hopefully all of you have got this part, because this is a super important part. The other part is, how do we identify these people? Okay. They're going to say things like, the system must get the house warm and fast. The thing with D-type personalities, they want stuff to work. They want it to work. They want it to work right now. They want it to work when they turn it on. And these are great people to sell maintenance to if you say, hey, I'll be out there in 10 minutes if something goes wrong, right? These are the people who are going to say, hey, you know what? I feel like I want to be able to watch this process. You guys work on Saturdays. A lot of times you say, we can work on Saturdays, but I got to pay my guys overtime. Then they'll go, okay, well, I'll just, but they might want to oversee it. For you air conditioning and heating service people, or any service people out there, a D-type personality trait is, if you've ever walked up to a door to do a service call and you ring the doorbell and you hear the garage door open, and the guy meets you in the garage and says, here's the furnace, it's not working. They didn't give you the opportunity to schmooze when you came in, or do the thermostat talk, or get into they don't want to get into the life stories and all the BS. They want one word answers. So they're going to drive you right to the problem and say, here's the furnace, I'll be in there working, come find me when you figure out what's going on. That's a telltale for those guys. These guys are going to be, well, they're going to probably have really nice stuff. have really nice yards, have really beautiful homes, drive really nice cars because they want everybody to see like they're that influencer personality. They're going to talk a lot. They're going to get really into, if you ask an influencer personality, what do you do for a living? It's going to be 5-10 minutes. You ask a D-type personality, they're going to say, I'm in project management. And that's all you're going to get, right? The I-type personality is going to tell you why they do it, what they do, how great they are. It's easy to identify an I-type personality type. So do 2 outdoor units. I don't think that would look good with my landscaping, and my friends love my landscaping. That could be something. And then you got to kind of go, I don't know, man. The cooler houses with one for each floor, you can get past the look, but you got two, they got one, right? That's actually a strategy for an I personality. They're going to be the ones that say, hey man, does this have that really quiet fan like my friend had? Um, Steady personality. I heard they changed refrigerants, or refrigerants are really bad for the atmosphere. Should I wait for the new one? Um, is it true that it can really, if I get one that has less? So that's a true statement we hear a lot from the steady personalities. Also, like, I'm a little worried about the disruption and my family. And you dig in a little bit, and they're going, well, we don't want to inconvenience you. An easy one is you go to a house to do a service call. The people offer you something as soon as you come in the house, likely in the steady personality type. They've got signs out front that tell people in the neighborhood how much they care about things. Potentially one an S personality. Now we got down here. How many kilowatts am I going to save, dude? You're going to have to present them. Like, I will have them. And they'll say, can you give me an ROI on the system? And I said, well, in order to get an ROI on your system, I'm going to have to do some data tracking. You're going to have to get me a lot of information about exactly how you use your system. And I can cross check a little couple things. And then we can give you a fairly accurate estimate. But we don't know that you're going to use your system the same way as you use your furnace now. So therefore, any kind of data we give you on energy savings might not be accurate, because you don't have an air conditioner now and you may use it, or you may use this differently than your existing system. One of the questions I always ask for this one is, like, how do you use your system? And they go, with my thermostat, because everybody wants to be cute. And I'm saying, no, do you turn it on and you turn it off at night, let the house go cold, turn it on in the morning and take the chill off? Or do you just leave it at a temperature and let it cycle back and forth and just have the settings in there? That's a good one to get in there, because then if they say, I'm the person that just turns it on for an hour and a half in the morning. Oh, really? Can you explain why you do that? Is it because of energy savings, or you just feel really guilty about the gas emissions? You can figure them out really quickly that way. Um, can you set heat pump water heating vented? If anybody's installed a heat pump water heater, as soon as you tell the customer, because you need to tell the customer everything they do before they go in, otherwise they're going to be calling you. So, like, this thing is going to create cold air. You can instantly figure out a conscientious personality, because they're going to go, oh, cold air. I can think of 5 things I want to do with that. Right? So now I'm dealing with that personality type. And you got to tell them, the cold air is directly related to the length of your shower. So if you're conservative about how long of showers you are, which you probably are, you're not going to get a lot of cold air. I just need to tell you this is going to produce it. Okay. So hopefully that kind of drove that in there. I wanted to go long because usually in our classes, we do the disc profile test and we go over your personal profiles. But so personality identification impacts everything. We use it in our business. This is actually the heat map of personalities for everybody in my business. And you can see I've got some people up here in the high influencer range. These are people that are going out and talking about it. And what I have here is myself, my son, who's downstairs, and you can tell he is just like me. And then NA, and you can see underneath that is LW. Nick A is my other salesperson, and me, LW, are here. We're the ones that always volunteer to go out and do all of the events that we do when we go set up the tent. We go out and talk to customers. We love to talk to customers. We love to tell them about what we're doing. And then over here, I've got quite a few analyzers. Um, And my analyzers, fortunately, a number of my analyzers are my installers, which means I have a higher level of people that will actually look at the instruction manual than a lot of companies do. And then I got a couple guys up here that kind of don't look at the instruction manual, and I can figure them out. Like, these are drivers. They want to get through it, man. I'm only going to open up the instructions if I put it in the way I know how and it doesn't work, right? I tell these guys the instruction manuals are not packed in plastic so they can be a knee pad. Okay. So marketing, employee dynamics, sales consults, installer communications, marriage and relationships, it's good for this too. If you take this disc profile test, and so you should have your spouse do it or your partner do it as well, just because it brings up good conversations. So we developed a party game at our house last, can't remember if it was one of the birthday parties or the Christmas party, but about 10 of us got together and I started talking about this, and I had them all go on and take this quiz, and then kind of gave them a brief overview of what it was, had them read it real quick, and then I said, without telling everybody, we're going to guess each other's personality type. And that was a good game we played for like 2 hours. So just, I don't know, maybe if you're in the game making market. So a note on profiling. Some people don't like the word profiling, and we presented something like this at one webinar, and we got a response. It's like, I don't think you should profile people because they're all the same. And people are all the same if you want to look at them all the same, but people have different personality types and they buy differently. So from our perspective, it's better if we do figure out who they are so we can approach our conversation properly. So a salesperson at the company, that's who sells stuff. The consultant is a person who provides expert advice professionally. Consultants are what we need in this. We need to build these relationships. Salespeople, slick, good guys, man, get in there. They're good with the I's and the S's to a point, but we need more consultant-based sales. Some people are offended by profiling customers. Some people are offended by profiling customers, but that's way off base here, because delivering the right product with the right message that fits what our customer is looking for is not profiling. This is us taking the time to know our customers better, to deliver a better product and service to them. Humans aren't robots. If they are, they would all be A personalities, and man. Okay. We need some I's and some D's out there and make the world go round, and we need S's to glue it all together. So humans aren't robots. We interact emotionally. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. So we must adjust accordingly. I spent a little bit more time on that because I really wanted to drive that home. So a little preparation in the intake process. So customer experience starts with the first touch at your company. And I know some people on this webinar might not have a lot of influence in the company on this, but we've looked into this and we've kind of tuned this to the way we operate. So sales is a team effort. One of the things we do at our company is we have a 15-minute meeting every day with every person on staff on Zoom. And every person on staff on Zoom. Are we running over on this, Alex? Goes
Yeah.
to 5:30, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yeah,
just want to make sure. Okay.
23 minutes.
So we have a 15-minute meeting with everybody on Zoom. Everybody checks in with all the matrix in the company, which has developed a mentality of everybody knowing how the business works, which means that our whole team is on our sales effort. I would recommend that to you if it's something that you can do in your business. Begins with your online presence. You got to have a message out there that you do what you do. Stay on top of that online stuff. Go into your contractor finders that you have in various places and make sure you've updated it to the new stuff that you do. A big one is switches on. I went to go find a contractor for a customer in your area because the one that I really liked wouldn't go where she was. And I went on there, and there was really only 2 companies that I found out of like 20 that had optimized their description of their company to include all the things that she was looking for. I'm sure 10 of the other companies did it, but they didn't optimize the messaging. So make sure your online presence is good. Continue with the first phone call, contact form, or email. So We want to turn information gathering into relationship building. We know this. We want our CSRs to smile, have a smiling voice, and be super helpful. And this is a constant work in progress, because they're getting barraged. 20% of their calls or customers are going, "Hey, when's this going to happen?" The other 20 are, "I have to smile because it's a new opportunity." So we need to be really supportive of those people, and then help them understand things better, and help them with questions they can ask to make everything more successful. That goes a little bit into that. So your CSR should be able to quickly recognize the call type. Is this a service related HVAC situation, or is the customer looking for a project? And this can go a couple different ways. Like, I know my system's 20 years old and it's not working. I may have to buy a new one, but it's not working. That's something that's going to have to be addressed differently than the call that comes in and says, "No, we're planning to do a project and we're thinking about electrifying everything." Two completely different animals, and the people that are answering the phone should understand the difference. It shows competent confidence by repeat, or they should repeat back to the customer to show confidence and competence. But it's just really good manners if a customer tells you something, to just reiterate to them the details. A lot of things now you can do is, there's some cool AI tools out there, phone assistant AI tools and note takers. These work better in businesses. Well, our business is basically project based. We don't do a lot of service that's not on our own stuff. So we don't have to invest in that quite yet. But you can have a little meeting, have everybody in your company do this free disc test, or invest in one for the whole company where it drives down and you can actually get good reports, and identify people's disc type, and make sure that they're communicating right and have the right people in the right seats, because you don't want a D personality answering the phones, really, necessarily too much, unless they're tuned. They're better for out calling with a goal than dealing with somebody that's coming in and complaining, because it might be a thing where they just go, "That person was such a..." Anyway, use insights to classify the call, and use the insights to tailor the future proposal. Get your CSRs asking 2 additional questions. Like, somebody called and said, "I want a heat pump." "Oh, really? What have you heard about heat pumps?" Or, "How'd you hear about heat pumps? Is this going to be a project we're going to do that's going to be more entailed?" Like this. Really good menu here, or list here is, "Can I start with your name, address, the best email or number to reach you?" And we have our people trained to, what's your preferred means of contact? And then they put that in the CRM. And then later on, if they're not getting an answer on the phone, you lo and look, "Oh, these people wanted us to text message them." How did you hear about us is extremely important, so that you can segregate things. But also, if it's like, "Oh, my neighbor told me about you," that's going to take a different pathway with the customer. "Oh, really? What did they tell you? What prompted you to call today?" A lot of customers are going to tell you this right quick. But I told you a second ago, my furnace isn't working, right? So, what prompted you to call today? "Well, my system is not working today and I need somebody to come out and take a look at it." That's going to categorize it as that service related call. When was your current system installed? I think some companies ask us, "How old is your system?" And that automatically, in certain personality types, revokes a response, or conveys a response that, "Uh-oh, these people think my system's old. They're going to try to sell me a new one." So when was your current system installed is a great one, because then you're going to hear, "I don't know, we've lived in here 15 years and it was here when we got here." Great. I got that question answered without asking the direct question, right? Are there any other concerns you would like us to address while we are at your home? This is way better than, "Hey, you guys have allergies or asthma?" This is a way better to do this. We were talking about this earlier. If you're on the phone with a customer and you hear the smoke alarm going off in the background, it would be great. "Hey, when we're out there, would you like me to direct my guy to change the battery in your smoke alarm?" And if your guys are going out there and they hear that noise, they should be doing that. And then who else will be, is there anyone else that would be involved in the decision on this, that we should consider? So, good ones to ask to kind of get the process started and figure out where your customer is. Okay. So, along with more preparation, Do a little digging. Do a little digging. If you got a customer that says, we weren't thinking about getting some electric stuff done and we got a heat pump, do a little digging and find out how you need to approach them. There's no privacy online anymore, but we can use that to our advantage, depending on how comfortable you feel about it. Who does the customer want? Do they want the high pressure sales bro who wants to win with charm? That might work good with the I's and the S's, but it's not going to work with the D's and the A's or the D's and the C's. The D's and the C's are going to want the person who's shown they've done their homework and cares about their customer. But I will tell you, this guy will only work with 2 personality types and only some of the time. This guy will work with all 4 personality types. So we need to go in as an advisor and a consultant on these type of projects more than we do just HVAC replacement. Okay. Do your homework. What info do you have on every single call that you go to? You have an address and you have a name. That's a lot of information in today's busy like internet world. So we can take some of that information and we could use it. So maybe do a street view on the house first of all. See how complicated it's going to be. Check out the satellite view. These people have a pool. You already know that going in. When they're complaining about how high bills there are, as like, I noticed you have a pool. They're going to go, oh wow, you haven't even been in the back of the house yet. Well, you have a pool. I'm wondering how you're running the filtering system on that. Do you think that that is part of your high energy cost, right? When the house was built, the square footage, the baths, the date of the last sale, what the home value is, what it originally sold for. Some people, if you're talking to an S personality type and you say, wow, great investment, they're going to respond to that. If you talk to a D or an I and you say, oh man, you've been living in here 20 years, well, great investment, huh? Those 2 are going to go, yeah, you bet. The A's and the S's are not going to respond to that. Okay. Favorably. Home features. If the house is new, go on realtor.com or Redfin and look at all the pictures of the house and kind of get a layout of the house. And then when you go in there and you're looking at the house, you go, yeah, I saw this on the online pictures. I heard you had moved into the house. I always just look up my customers just to see. And I noticed the house was recently sold. So I took the liberty to look at the rooms. And may I say, it's even more beautiful now than when you moved in. Or if it's not more beautiful than when they moved in, you can go, man, they did a great job staging that, huh? Nobody lives like that, right? So just to get in there, okay. Name, we got LinkedIn. We can find their profession, their past jobs, where they lived previously, their Facebook if it's public. Maybe they got a personal website. If I see any customer come in with their name.com, I'm looking up to see who they are. Or if they're at a company name like it's like ours, L Waters at electrifymyhome.com, I'm going to go look up the company they are on that .com and see what they do and get a little bit of edge on them. And then I'm going to ask them a couple questions about what they do. That's a great way to figure them out. Because if it's an I-type personality, they're going to give you all kinds of information about what you do, and you can say, "Okay, I know who I'm dealing with." They'll look at the work website. So if you find one of these and you go, you know what? I've got Mrs. Jones down the street. We did a job for a year ago. Call Mrs. Jones and give them a happy call and just cue in and say, how's everything going? Hey, I'm going up to one of your neighbors' houses. I don't know if you know them or not, but I was just wondering if we could use you as a quick reference, right? Cue that up beforehand. Okay. Do your homework. Now, this is a bit controversial, and I'm only sharing it with you guys because you're my friends now. So enter the known info into Chat GPT or one of those other AI systems, and some dispatch notes, the address, LinkedIn profile, and say, provide tips on how to best sell this customer a heat pump for their aging furnace. And then be careful with the results you're going to get, because pretty crazy. This was a sample output on a customer that we did. And what ChatGPT found was this gentleman was a real estate and transaction attorney, which tells us he has experience in property acquisitions, development costs, understands investments in his property are going to increase the value of his home, and probably understands it more than you do. He's detail oriented. He works in legal real estate, likely accustomed to contracts, rigorous review, risk analysis, and clarity of obligations. You want to be really clear and not ambiguous when you talk about your warranties and other things with this guy, because he's gonna look into that. Been promoted and is recognized for his responsibleness, thoughtfulness, and complexity handling in his legal work. This guy's been to be a detail oriented guy. So I'm thinking he's got maybe some D in there and maybe some A in there, or C in there. Um, Professional with high standards. He's risk aware, detail oriented, and legally savvy. That would scare some contractors off of wanting even to deal with him. But if you do houses right and you make them as great as you can with electrification, I'm not worried about the lawyers. He will want to clarify certainty, defensibility, and transparency of your proposal. This might be the one you want to throw the long version of the terms and conditions. So you can see this knows a lot about this guy, knows where he lives, the modern climate. We should be talking about local incentives that are in our Bay Area. Given, and this chat GPT already knows our sales approach, we should lean towards analytical contractual style with high transparency, clarity, contract level assurance, and less fluff or emotional overtones. If you knew this going in there into the house, you could spend a lot less time on what every other sales thing takes. You got to spend the time to build rapport. That's great. Rapport building with this guy is going to be pretty easy, and you just got to be super complete, right? So if you take a little time up front, it could save you time later, and they'll respect you for that. Some customers like it when you build rapport. D's and S's like to help you build rapport. The other two are like, okay, dude, that's enough, right? Oh yeah. It even tells us the key messages and talking points for him. So let's talk about it as a long-term asset, not a quick fix. We're going to reduce his mechanical risk and future obsolescence. Like, hey, dude, gas systems are going, they're at regulatory risk right now. It's a great way to face that, right? Moving over into electrification is not only going to save the initial cost of doing it later, but it's going to have your house ready in case anything comes up. Because sometimes, people have to sell their house before they mean to because some event happens, and you'll be ready. Because if the house is out of compliance later, that could cause a problem. Okay. For some reason, my screen changed there. I guess I was only supposed to show that for a moment. All right. Cumulative scale skills. Let your customers sell themselves. What is consultative selling? The practice of guiding customers beyond their own best decision. Ask, don't tell, listen to understand, not to respond, and guide and don't push. You can't push a rope through a hole, you got to pull it through a hole. Consultative selling isn't about closing deals, it's about opening conversations. How do people buy? People buy on emotions and logic. All people buy on emotions and logic. Some interesting quotes here. Gerald Zaltman back. 95% of purchase decisions are driven by subconscious emotion. On logic, people make decisions emotionally and then rationalize them later with logic. Some people make decisions emotionally and can never rationalize them. Emotions drive behavior, but reason governs whether we follow through. And people that have damage to their emotional centers of their brain can't even make simple decisions. You probably ran into those people. They need to pull another party in. Customers buy comfort, trust, and confidence, not the equipment. So if you go in with features and benefits on the equipment before you know who you're talking to, you're wasting a lot of time. Emotion drives emotion drives action. Fear of failure and desire for comfort and pride in doing things right is going to be an emotional response. Begin by understanding what they feel and why they reached out to help them with their emotional response. If a customer tells you, I'm doing this because my grandkids come over and I want the house to be more comfortable, I would dig into a little bit about their relationship with their grandkids, right? Logic reassures emotional brain that the decision was safe and smart. Consultative selling adds structure, performance data, costs, and timelines for design is going to help with that logical structure of that personality type. Facts don't persuade, they reinforce confidence in what the customer already wants or knows they want. Emotions make them want to trust you. Logic makes them want to understand you. Emotional, you got to be transparent, explain your process, and build rapport, build that trust. Show empathy and acknowledge pain points before solving them. If they tell you that their daughter's room up in the front of the house is always cold in the winter, say, what is it that you do to keep her warm in the winter? Are you using a heater up there to keep her comfortable, or does she like kind of come into the other part of the house? How uncomfortable is it for her, etc.? Dig in a little bit. Respect. Ask permission before explaining things. Get permission to upgrade customers. We'll talk about that a little next week. Belonging. Show social proof with the emotional buyers. Like, this is what your neighbor did, and this is what their outcome was. Testimonial videos work really great as social proof. Testimonial videos from your customers. Logic needs clarity. Simple visuals confirm their understanding. Evidence, case studies, and testimonials are good, but they're less about the I love these guys testimonials and more about how this worked. Control timelines and steps. Make sure you explain to them the steps after the sale, like the HERS and the permit and the process that it's going to go through. Otherwise, these people will like sour up on you. Competence. Show your technical aptitude tailored to the customer. Don't be afraid of engineer types, because if you know your stuff, you can capture that entire market, and they're really great to work with. Sometimes a pain as you're doing it, but great after it's all done. So hey, join us in week 2.
Yes, October 16th, same time, 4 to 5:30, and there's a separate event, but I'll make sure to send that out. Usually you get the recording a few days after, but I'll send this out ASAP. That way folks who couldn't make it or had to leave early can catch up and join us for part 2.
Great. Yeah, this is really fun information. When you start plugging all this stuff in, it gets really fun to start looking at personality types.
Yep.
All right, so thank you for connecting next October 16th. I'll queue up your slides
Yes.
for you, Juliana.
Yes, and I'm about to launch another poll, so if before you all head out, please, if you wouldn't mind taking that, we'd really appreciate it. And yes, I also am really excited to plug a couple of really exciting events happening in the next few weeks. So, of course, come back for part 2, but we are having a renewable energy storage and resilience in-person happy hour at the Community Environmental Council Green Hub space. So we've gotten some feedback from you all that you want more time to kind of mix and mingle with fellow like-minded folks in person. So that's happening October 28th. And then I'd like to highlight a really special event we have coming up on November 4th, which is our Regional Energy Forum. So this will be an in-person forum for building professionals, policymakers, community members to explore how the built environment can adapt to the growing challenges of wildfire. We have a great lineup of speakers. We have a fire captain. We have some folks from Allen Construction who are kind of making this fire hardening construction their bread and butter. We have so we have the different perspectives, and then it'll include a free networking lunch, giveaway for an air purifier, and then there's an optional tour of the County of Santa Barbara Emergency Operations Center and Regional Fire Communication Center, which is the first zero net energy building in Santa Barbara. So they're going to do a special tour for participants. So you can scan that QR code to register, and then there's also the link 3cren.org/forum. We really encourage any folks in our region to attend. It'll be a really great event, and I would love to see some of you folks there. So yeah. Larry, are you coming? Are you coming down for the day?
I looked at my calendar to see what I was doing that day, to see if like I could extend a day in LA, but Yeah, I'm going to be here that day, unfortunately, but man, would I love to come to that.
Yes, well, another time as I think we're fully out of the COVID era, and so trying to do more in-person events and really encourage more in-person participation and more opportunities to get to know folks. So I'm going to stop recording and close this out. But I